Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Bannon or Airspeed Prime here, and I'm here today to present to you the 6th edition of Airspeed Discusses. Before getting to my usual Avatar news kind of roundup thing, I didn't do an Airspeed Discusses last week, mainly because it was Christmas, busy time of the year, and because I really wanted to kind of have a break between the kind of last Airspeed Discusses and this one, because I think this topic is one that I think a lot of people should kind of speak out on, and before I'm going to tell you what it is right now, and that is 2011 Avatar Year in Review. Now, it is the 29th of December when I'm recording this, but because I think I'm going to be busy over kind of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and I don't really think there's going to be any major core breakthroughs then. So I'm just going to go through my Avatar news roundup, and I think the biggest piece of news is the site update. I've been talking about that for the past two Airspeed discusses, I think, and it's happened. It went up late Christmas Day, which is a kind of awesome Christmas present, and the site looks amazing. It looks kind of so much more professional, and makes it look like a real kind of really good fan site, and it's a lot quicker. I have yet to have a database error. Other new features are stuff like there are spoiler tags on the forums, especially if in some of the topics relating to the core leaks, and especially when the promise starts to come out and we get more core information, they will be really crucial. The chat function on the site is back, which is really good. It had to be taken down because the stuff with the server on the site, but now it's back, and there's been no problems with that either. And the way the chat function works, for any of you who don't know, is that basically there's a little bar along the bottom of the site, and it tells you how many people are online on the site at that time, and then you can click on one of them to specifically chat to them. And you can do that with multiple people, have separate conversations with them, or you can open a chat room and invite people into that to have a big discussion. So that will be interesting when stuff like core episodes are airing, or if we do an event on the site, we can open a chat room or something like that to discuss it, kind of without having to wait for forum posts to go through and stuff like that. The comic forum that I created a few weeks ago is now on the main site page, which is awesome, and that is avatarthelastairbrenneronline.com/community. You can find the activity wall, instead of being kind of on the side on the community page, it's actually a separate page in itself. And it's really kind of cleverly called by the site admin, admin Jordan, and it's called the Bossing Say activity wall. The wall of Bossing Say, because it's a big wall of posts. And I think that's a clever name, and it's a really actually cool way to look at all the activity on the site. The mods on admins now have a kind of banner on all their posts when they post, and it's specific to what section you're in. So some of the mods are only a mod in a certain section, and they only get that banner in that section, which is interesting. And notifications of private messages, now you can see them on your control panel anywhere on the site, so you don't have to go into it, which I think was one of the things that kind of confused a lot of people with regards to PM. And then they're the main things, and I think Jordan is working on kind of giving the moderators the ability to merge threads, but that's a kind of very difficult one to kind of make happen. The second thing, getting into actual Avatar news, not site related, and that is the core release date. It hasn't been revealed yet, but Nick were doing this thing on the week starting the 26th, where they would talk about new shows, new seasons of shows in 2012, and premiere some of the episodes. Now, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I believe is the only animated show that Nick is premiering also in 2012, That got a little mention. I'm not exactly sure since I'm not from America and I can't see this kind of event on Nick. Avatar, by the looks of things, Korra is not going to get mentioned, which is really sad. Now we'll kind of talk about that later on in the kind of get into the topic. Then I guess just to put this out there that The Promise Part 1 is out on January 25th. Just in case kind of anyone's forgotten or what, January 25th is the comic book release date. So if you want to get it that day, you have to go to a comic book store or have it like ordered on a comic book website that will ship it like before then, so it gets to you then. Otherwise, if you don't have a comic book store near you or for whatever reason, it is out on February 7th for the book market, so that means that you may be able to find it in some big bookstores. I think a lot of people don't realise this and may kind of be disappointed if they just go out to like a regular bookstore on January 25th. So I kind of urge you to spread that around so no one's disappointed on January 25th. And I suppose, going back to the site update, I can now post news posts myself on the site. Before I had to kind of like submit them to review for Jordan to kind of publish. Now I can publish them myself, which should make me putting out my Promise Part 1 comic review really easy when I hopefully will get it on January 25th. And then just a thing regarding my channel, no replies to the last video, but I think a lot of people that viewed the video kind of saw kind of The Last Airbender from a different perspective, which is kind of what the aim was. I would like to see a video reply just to see how people like thought about my kind of thoughts that were kind of not the norm in the Avatar fandom, in that I liked the movie and kind of have a lot to say in regards to the defense of it. But now that's that intro done, into the topic. Avatar Year in Review 2011. Now I guess just to start off with a general overview of 2011, if you could name the year something related to Avatar, it'll be the kind of setting everything up for 2012 year, basically. There was only one kind of big kind of official release, and that was The Lost Adventures, which was cool, but it more set us up for what to expect from The Promise. And the same can be said of Korra. We got a few little bits, and that kind of really teased us and got us excited for the show. So Avatar Year in Review 2011 is a lot of setup for 2012, which in my opinion 2012 will be the year of Avatar, and I will talk about that later at the end, near the end of this video, and maybe a little other topic as well. So I believe the first thing to talk about is kind of going just through in order of how the year went. We got Korra news. Now I'm not going to do this in kind of a chronological order throughout the year. I'm just going to bring up a big topic, and those kind of big topics are Korra, Dark Horse Comics, the site, and myself, how Avatar went for me this year, and then talk about 2012. Now Korra was the kind of thing that was brought up first in the year, in that we started getting these little bits of information leaking out. None of them from Nick, which I will talk about in a minute. We got some voice actor info early on in the year, stuff like that. D. Bradley Baker was going to be voicing a character. His daughter would be voicing 5-year-old Korra. We got the kind of big list of voice actors like Janet Varney, J.K. Simmons, and so on. And then we got the kind of first look at Korra's face, because before that all we had was the look at the kind of back on view of her kind of looking over the world. So, that got us excited for the show, but again, we hadn't seen any movement. I believe that we got the test animation kind of footage early on in the year as well, and that was cool. And if you actually look at that now, it is kind of Korra training against Mako and Bolin, which is funny. She just beats them up so easily. And then we pretty much, I'm just kind of looking through the news posts on the site. We didn't really get much core information until we got stuff setting up San Diego Comic Con. And San Diego Comic Con is probably the kind of biggest kind of Avatar event of the year, probably, in that Avatar kind of made a big splash at San Diego Comic Con, from what I can tell. Someone posted the panel online, and I watched it all. And Mike and Brian were kind of they know how kind of passionate and how into the show Avatar fans are, but I think they were shocked at how many people came to see a show that there hadn't been much information on, and they noted themselves at the con, at that panel, that creators of other shows had kind of complimented them on how passionate the fans are, and I think that is a huge kind of compliment to the following of Avatar. Now the panel itself, I thought the panel itself was great, a perfect kind of setup for the show, kind of setting things up but not spoiling too much or really anything, since the show at that stage is probably a year plus off. Now, the main thing coming from that obviously is the official trailer, and the trailer was awesome. I think the Avatar fandom came back in force on the day of the panel, because the Avatar fan sites were crashing all over the place. Avatar Spirit was having trouble. The site was getting our site was getting a lot of database errors, and stuff was really slow. But there was lots of excitement, lots of people posting, which was great. And then the amount of Facebook stuff we got, the amount of like YouTube hits my kind of core panel summary got, it's at like 130,000 now, which is, I was absolutely shocked when I saw that it was getting that many views. The panel itself was great. It was more of the kind of how they got the idea for the show and development stuff about the show, rather than what the show itself is about. But that was really cool to see, all the kind of how they developed the character designs from early to now. And then they mentioned some really interesting things about the show, probe ending, the fact that I think Tenzin's family was a big winner from the con. We're going to get to see how a real family kind of that is not torn apart by war kind of interacts together, and a family of airbenders at that, except Pema, who is a non-bender. And then, you know, the kind of first bit of two bits of Avatar Korra merchandise came out, and they were the San Diego Comic Con poster, which is epic. It's Korra, Mako, Bolin bending, fighting, and you see Amon's face in the background. And then there's the kind of the character development kind of concept art t-shirt of Korra, which I think was even more limited edition than the poster. Now the trailer itself was, I think, the perfect way to show off the show. I believe it was confirmed later that the stuff in the trailer is either from only episode 1 or only the first 2 episodes, which makes sense. And the trailer was just got people so excited. But the problem again with this was that after San Diego Comic Con we got nothing, pretty much. You know, the track team on Facebook gave out little bits about the music, but again, unless you knew a lot about music, you couldn't really get a whole lot from that. There was nothing about the kind of show as a whole, really, until our kind of hero, Avatar hero, the guy who leaked guy or girl who leaked the opening of Korra, the clip of Korra speaking for the first time, and the kind of screenshot video. He kind of he calmed down the Avatar fandom so much, because people were getting really, really mad about the lack of information, given that we had known about the show for so long. It was mid-2010 when we found out about the show, and especially coming up to just before we got the leaks, we were coming up to like 5-6 months without any core information, and that's just too long when you have such an excitable fandom as the Avatar fandom. It was so intense about everything. So in a way, I think that the leaks were good for the fans. They were good for Nick as well, despite kind of whatever legal implementations of the kind of naming and stuff like that about it being a leaked episode stuff came out. The main thing about this is that the guy did not leak the full episode. The clip he showed was a perfect teaser for Korra's character, because we got the descriptions that she's rebellious and stuff like that, but we didn't know what she sounded like. We weren't exactly sure how this character was going to kind of pan out, and the voice from Janet Varney is perfect. And in that way, the guy who put these kind of previews together did an amazing job. In that, the opening is a great thing to show, the clip a great thing to show, and then the screenshots are again kind of a way of showing us more of the first episode without spoiling anything. And in that way, I think that guy did a great preview thing. Say the episode was airing next week, those kind of 3 videos would be a perfect way to kind of preview that episode to the fans. And the fact that going into the last bit about Korra, sorry, Nick kind of, and Viacom, and kind of maybe a bit of Mike and Brian as well, kind of so secretive about this show. They do not seem to be able to communicate properly with the fans. The only official kind of place that are kind of putting out information about the show are the kind of 2 official Avatar and Korra Facebook pages, and they are the Avatar The Last Airbender one and The Last Airbender Legend of Korra one. And the key to this thing is just that Nick revealed the show first. They released the kind of statement about the show being announced. But the problem there was that they announced it before they had sort of finalised everything. They announced it as 12 episodes. Then we got from a different source that there's 14 more episodes, and we went with that. The rest of the information came from interviews and stuff like that until San Diego Comic-Con when they released stuff. But now, if you weren't at the con, this is sort of where Nick comes in again. The only thing Nick said about the con on those 2 pages, which are the only sources of official information, they posted the trailer originally kind of sped up, so it was kind of really quick and the audio was sort of distorted a bit, and only people from America could see it, so it left all the European fans out and everyone across the rest of the world pretty much except America out. They eventually put out the trailer not sped up, but it was still only for American fans. And basically what the Nick showed was that the fans, basically this year it showed that the fans are better at getting information out there about kind of advertising Avatar than Nick is itself. Because, I'm trying not to get too mad about this, but I think it's kind of I'm not going to get mad about it, but at the same time I'm not just going to go Nick, they're okay to have it secretive, especially when they know exactly how Avatar fans are, how much we're excited for this show. And Nick don't seem to be showing the show that much respect, given that it's probably going to be, when it comes out, the most kind of well received Nick show since Avatar The Last Airbender. Again, coming back to the fact that they do not know how to communicate with the fans, it's so kind of it tells you the whole story when the only way of getting in touch with Nick is through the contact us section on their site, and if you get a reply from there, you are the luckiest person alive. The fact that there's Nick sites from loads of different countries rather than just being a main site and then here's this site in this language and so on. The way that Nick UK is completely separate from Nick.com, and there's just these kind of like walls between them, and it just leaves it out. It just is so kind of wrong in a way, since the internet, everyone can see it. We get all the information straight away, but then when the show comes out, only America's probably going to get it first. Then it's going to be released in like Europe a few months later, and so on. And that is the kind of main thing. I hope Nick can start putting out more information in 2012. I hope they say something about Core in the last few days of this kind of a new best of 2012 new week on Nick. And that's all there is to say in Core, except the last thing, everyone is excited for it. They just want it to come out. So many comments on the Facebook pages, so many comments on YouTube videos. When is this show coming out? It shows the fact that the last date we got was probably was actually before San Diego Comic-Con, and everyone's been saying mid to late 2012 to everyone, and it shows that there are loads of new people discovering the fact that there is a new Avatar show coming out, that they're asking these questions. So the fans are doing a great job at advertising it. Nick just needs to do a better job. Tell us information. We know you don't want to spoil the show, but just tell us information, please. Now, Dark Horse was the kind of big winner probably this year, because it had kind of completely all happened this year. We got it announced that Dark Horse had the Avatar license. We sort of knew they had it from the art book, but this is kind of, they have it for continuing stories. They first announced the Lost Adventures very early on in the year, or late last year, I can't really remember. But the key is that it came out this year in June, I think. I can't really remember that much, but it came out this year, The Lost Adventures. And what this book did, despite being a compilation book of old comics and some new comics, it showed that Avatar comics can be amazing. Can be just like the show. And I haven't really seen any bad people say anything bad about it, because I think most people realise that that book is exactly what it says on the front, The Lost Adventures. It's not going to be massive on plot, but even at that, there are some great stories in there, as I mentioned in my review on one of the previous Airspeed discussions. Stuff like Going Home Again and The Bridge are excellent, adding to the show. Everyone's in character, that's the key thing. They can keep them in character. They have artists who can capture the show style, but still kind of make it different for comics. And then the big thing, with the kind of announcement of the Lost Adventures, we also got that they are planning more comics to continue on the story. So basically, in a way, a book 4 in comic form. And that is The Promise Part 1, 2 and 3. Now, we got the kind of cover very early on. We had to wait a few months to get some more information on it. But I think the key thing here is that Gene Yang and Dark Horse have not been as secretive as Nick with this compared to them with Korra. I don't know if it's because they're kind of like, Nick kind of are using the comics to kind of keep a lot of the fans happy while they keep the show secret. But comic news is good. The Promise, we got the Amazon put their preview up, but then they leaked pretty much the whole book, and I think as I've been mentioning before, the Avatar fandom is so intense. I think in a way what we got from the leak shows that in the way the kind of bad side of that, in that a lot of people rush to conclusions based on 40 pages of an 80-page book, and especially 40 pages scattered throughout the whole thing, as opposed to a big chunk of 40. People either really like what's going on in The Promise or really don't like it. But I think when a book actually comes out on January 25th or February 7th, I think people are gonna enjoy it, because what I saw was so much potential. I really like the idea of what's happening in it. But I saw a lot of potential for the extra character development that they could add in those other 40 pages. And then the fact that, you know, we got the pre-order for part 1 has gone up this year, the pre-order for part 2 has gone up this year. Part 1, as I said, is coming out in less than a month, and part 2 will be out May 30th, and then we don't know really the date for part 3. But I suppose the next big thing to say is Dark Horse have the license for Avatar. Now, they're going to have it beyond the promised part 1, 2 and 3, which has me really hoping that there will be even more comics past that, as I mentioned in kind of my look towards the future of Avatar video. I think there's so much potential with comics to tell more of Korra's story, kind of do maybe another Lost Adventures book, but taking place within the 70 years in between the two series, like random adventures that they have. Tell the stories of other avatars, tell the stories of the first Avatar, and so on. Expand on Kyoshi, Yang Chen, Korra, or whatever. So much potential with comics. Next, before getting to that, actually, that's all the kind of official Avatar stuff there was. Really, all the news. I guess there was news about the movie in that it's pretty much confirmed that there's no plans as of yet for the Last Airbender movie, which at this stage does not look like happening at all. And that is it pretty much. Then onto the site news, which obviously, as I mentioned before, the site got 2 updates in 2011. The first one was mainly to the kind of moderators and administrators kind of thing, adding to kind of what mods can do, what they can't do, etc. I became the kind of a site super moderator or head moderator, kind of run early on in 2011. I've been a mod since kind of a few months after I joined the site. So yeah, I became the head moderator, and I kind of immediately kind of switched up a lot of the moderators, adding new ones, taking away some of the old ones who weren't active. And I think this helped a lot in that it made a lot of the other sections more active, stuff like fan fiction, and so on, roleplay. Then about the site, the site had a few interviews during the year, mainly with Dante Basco. There was one with Gene Yang, and I think that was it. But I think that one of the key things is that the site became kind of a big place to go for news, since we got the news out really quickly. I saw a lot of other sites kind of linking our articles, and yeah, that's kind of just great to see that the site is getting noticed. It's becoming one of the bigger fan sites, and now especially with the update that has just happened, it's even more exciting to see how things will go as the promised part 1 comes out in full, as we get more core information. San Diego Comic-Con 2012, promised part 2, promised part 3, and then core itself coming out. The site's kind of set up to have a lot of members at this stage with the upgraded server. Stuff like the Facebook page became more popular, and you know, just looking through some of the news posts, stuff like community opinion. Just a few weeks ago, well, it was actually just last week, I think, I posted up Jordan posted up the 10th community opinion, which is a kind of a big milestone for it, in that I started that idea pretty soon after I joined the site, and I like the way people like this idea so much, in that I think I wanted to do something unique that no kind of site had been doing. In that, in a lot of sites, all you see is the kind of a news staff on site posting news posts. With this, it gives a chance for other members of the site who are not on the staff or don't write news posts to get their thoughts out on a kind of news post that will kind of reach more people. That's what the aim of this was, and kind of still is. Hopefully now with the new site with kind of PM system updated a bit, I'll be able to get a lot more people involved in this. I'll be sending out PMs for people to write for the next community opinion in a week or so. Then I suppose just to mention on the kind of podcast that we have planned. At the moment, I think it looks like we're gonna kind of try and get it started, kind of do a test kind of recording, kind of once the kind of New Year's kind of calms down a bit, so early January, we're gonna try and get a podcast out. But we're not really sure how that's gonna go. We have to organise a lot of stuff with that still. And then I suppose me personally, how it went. I suppose the main thing is that I became the site super moderator on Avatar: The Last Airbender Online, and this is that was kind of a big deal for me because as such, being in the Avatar, I've only been kind of majorly in the Avatar fandom since I joined up to this site. Before that, I tried to go on a few other sites, but they just weren't for me, so I didn't really stay on them that much. But I was always a massive fan, so when I found this place, I kind of instantly realised this kind of place is going to be my Avatar fandom home. And so to become the kind of forum kind of head moderator is a kind of big deal in that. I feel like the way I've kind of moderated the forum, kind of not being kind of really strict like a lot of other moderators, has really helped the site. It's kind of made the place, there've been very few arguments. I haven't really had to do any kind of moderating. Haven't had to ban anyone that has not been any users that has not been a kind of spam kind of bot thing. And really, I haven't had to give anyone any kind of infractions or anything like that for anything. The worst I've had to do is kind of change a few thread titles because they were kind of not really saying what the topic was about. And I think that tells a lot about the site as well. It's just a kind of really nice place to discuss Avatar with fellow fans. The Avatar fandom a lot of the time can be kind of quite weird, with kind of people talking a lot about ships and crazy stuff related to Avatar. But the way the style of posting that we have on the site is kind of very in-depth analysis, and that's really that's part of the reason I like the site so much, in that the topics can get really in-depth into Avatar, and without some of the kind of more kind of stupid aspects of the fandom coming into it, the kind of controversial things coming into it. And yeah, that's pretty much the main thing that happened for me. Obviously now I can post news posts myself, which will make the news kind of feed on the site. It should be kind of a lot kind of quicker with getting the information out now that there are kind of two main news staff on the site now. And then obviously for me, my YouTube channel has probably been the kind of another one of those things. Starting to speak on the site speak in my videos has kind of been a big thing. Obviously you can probably see if you look at some of the earlier ones when I start speaking that I'm not great at speaking on camera, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better now, as you can probably see with this video, at speaking on camera or just kind of for a continued length of time. And that is just by kind of speaking, being kind of the same kind of person I am on the forum, just in-depth analysis, expressing my opinion on Avatar, and yeah, it's been cool, the amount of people who have liked my YouTube videos, liked the kind of analysis that I give on Avatar, my episode commentaries. They like my news videos where I also give my kind of own theories and stuff like that. And yeah, and these Airspeed discusses, which I've only recently started, I think that there's kind of like a little group of people who watch them and kind of really like them, and hopefully I'll get more video responses and stuff like that later. But that has been kind of the Avatar year in review 2011. As I said before, a lot of it was kind of set up for what's going to happen in 2012, and now I'm going to talk about 2012, what it's going to be like for Avatar. If I had to say what Avatar 2012, the year in review kind of 2012, is going to be about, I'd have to say 2012 is going to be like the year of Avatar. Avatar is going to be a big thing around kind of just general kind of media. Like, I think it's going to make a big splash for fans of animation, fans of TV shows. I think it's going to be one of the best, if not the best received show of 2012, and that's a big thing to say, but that's how much kind of faith I have in the show, and that's not just coming from the fact that I'm an Avatar fan, you know, head moderator on the site, runs Facebook page and stuff like that. I'm just saying that because the first show was excellent. By the looks of this, they're making it even better, and there's kind of so much to be excited for in 2012 for Avatar fans. One, the first thing to say regarding it is obviously Korra will, I think it's been confirmed that it's definitely coming out in 2012. That's what the person who got the leak of the episode 1 said, because it said 2012 at the end in like the copyright thing, copyright Viacom 2012. But when we get the date, that's going to be a big moment. Then all 3 of the promised stories will be out, and hopefully we'll get announced that there'll be more comics coming from Dark Horse. It'll be interesting to see what they are, if there actually is more, because I think that they're selling and kind of the pre-orders are going so well that they're going to have to make more. And San Diego Comic-Con 2012 is going to be huge as well, I think. I think at San Diego Comic-Con the show will either have just aired or they'll be premiering the kind of first episode at San Diego Comic-Con 2012 in anticipation for its release, kind of just after then. I think San Diego Comic-Con 2012 Korra will also make a big splash there, and that is pretty much all I have to say on the topic. Again, it's been a bit disjointed, hasn't been a lot of in-depth analysis, but I think it's just interesting to look at sort of how much Avatar information there has been over this year, and there has been quite a lot. For me, the kind of like most exciting part about it it's probably the fact that the site kind of has gotten bigger and stuff like that. People have been enjoying their time on the site, and hopefully with the new site update, people will enjoy it even more. Because I think our site is such a great place to discuss it. It really is a community kind of. Even more so than a forum. It's a kind of a community. You kind of get to know the people. And then one thing I forgot to mention in the intro is Avatar Trivia, Avatar Christmas Trivia 2. The results are posted, the winners are up, and I'm just going to say who won now. In joint third place was Kelly, who also got the third place in the first Avatar Christmas Trivia. She was joined third with Arthan and also a new member on the side, Avatar. And then second place was another new member, Amy, Aimee, and you know, she got some great scores. I thought she was going to win until our winner actually sent in his answers, and he got pretty much full marks. Only some minor details in some of the questions lost a mark. So you got like pretty much 23.5 out of 24, and won it by I think 3.5 points in total. And so Avatar Christmas Trivia was a kind of big success in the end. 7 out of the 10 people that signed up sent in answers, and you know, the lowest score was like 14, I think. So no one did horribly. No one got full marks, which was kind of, it's a thing I always kind of like to do. I always like to make my questions kind of hard enough that it's kind of near impossible to get full marks. And yeah, that's the last thing I have to say in this video. I will see you again in 2012 for the next Airspeed Discusses. So I hope you had a great Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrated over the late December period, and I hope you have a happy new year as well.